What is going on, everyone? Welcome on in to Coffee with Brodes. Another brutal late night for me, staying up way too late watching Jersey Shore. I think it was till like 3:30 a.m., so I can barely keep my eyes open. I keep going to the whole, one more episode, just one more episode. Oh, now they're back at the Jersey Shore. They went from Miami to Jersey Shore. Oh, I get sucked in. Snooki's trying to bang Vinny. It's this whole process of I can't fall asleep at night because of Jersey Shore. But here we are. I'm extremely tired. But luckily, we have our cup of coffee. Luckily, we have some Sixers basketball to talk about. And look, we got Sixers again tonight. We got the Flyers tonight. You got a little bit more of Philly spring training. But, man, last night was awesome. Tobias Harris was special. That was unbelievable. And you now have Tobias Harris really being that guy, being that legitimate weapon that you need to help out Joel Embiid. How much are the Sixers losing by today? Well, why are we going after last night? You're telling me you walk in here and this is the first thing you have to say. I think we deserve to boo this individual. No? Look, I'm normally not Mr. Negative, but I look at things with a couple steps back, that type of view. We're going to go full throttle this? We're going to go full throttle this to start our day? I'm a little disappointed. I'm a little pissed off. Maybe it's because the lack of sleep. Maybe it's because I haven't taken a sip of my coffee yet, which seems like there's a little bit of something on the inside of this mug here that doesn't look pleasant. Yeah, there you go. Boo this man. Boo this individual. Why are we already going into how much are the Sixers going to lose by tonight? Come on. The Tony Bradley hype has ended real quick. He was brutal. Yeah, I do find that funny how things just change so quickly, right? Same with Danny Green. 2 games ago, Danny Green was electric in the first quarter. Last night, he struggled. But Seth Curry came to play. You see the difference when your shooters make shots? It's crazy. One quarter, you're looking like the Knicks are going to run you out of the building. Well, that's because you weren't making your shots. Your shooters weren't being able to hit. Third quarter, your shooters hit, and now all of a sudden it's a close game, and the Sixers are back involved. Oh, wow. So Seth Curry gets hot, you're involved. Danny Green gets cold, the Knicks look to be the one running away with it. It's not rocket science here, right? If your shooters get going and they're actually knocking down their open shots, that's the difference. What type of coffee today? We're going with the Pete's coffee again. What I need to do is, because I ran out of Wawa hazelnut, I ran out of the McDonald's regular medium roast. So now I need to restock and get a bunch more so I could so I can have options in my morning. Bros, if somehow we beat the Bucks without the MVP of the league, we need to start having a serious talk about them being finals favorites of the East. Agree? No, because it's a regular season basketball game. So, no, it would be a nice win. But beating the Bucks in a regular season game, it comes down to it being a nice win. I already have my opinion on this team. I think I've seen enough out of this team. I think I understand what this team kind of is. I kind of have my sense of what this team is. Getting to being serious favorites out of the East, they already are. Aren't they already in that conversation right now? They're already in the conversation of being one of the better teams of the East. They're first in the Eastern Conference. They are first. Right now, they are first. So to me, I already see them as a team that will play with the Nets, that will play with the Bucks, no matter what happens tonight. I already think that they're involved in it, right? That's where I kind of have the disconnect. One regular season game would never tell me this or that. It's a cumulative amount of games that you add up, that you see, you know what I mean? But I do need to have this cup of coffee here. I need to take a sip. I haven't even taken a sip yet. Now, Angus comes back in and says, I'll be on Coffee with Brodes tomorrow, and you'll be eating your words. I'm not saying the Sixers are absolutely 100% going to win. You have a better percentage of being right. The team's on the second half of a back-to-back without Joel Embiid. You have the advantage here. All I'm saying is after last night, for the first 2 minutes of Coffee with Brodes, you're asking how much the Sixers are going to lose by. Instead of discussing what happened last night, instead of being happy about Tobias Harris, your first question of Coffee with Brodes was, how much are the Sixers going to lose by? That's where we have the problem. Not so much about, oh, if they lose, you're right. If they lose, I'm wrong. Whatever. It's not about that. Roman Quinn leading off today. What are my thoughts? I need to see. What do we got? I don't see the lineup. So I do not know. Interested to see that you're talking about the hit in the Penguins-Bruins game. I saw the clip all over the place, and I saw a lot of people talking about it. Did he get suspended for that? I mean, I feel like that type of news would be very quickly out there. Did they get suspended? I saw he got like a misconduct, which I thought was because it was like, I don't know. Oh, okay, he got kicked out of the game for it. I gotcha. No, I don't think it was kicked out of the game worthy. I think it was he got kicked out plus 1 game. Okay. I think the problem, honestly, for me was how far away he was from the boards, and it could have been like maybe a boarding call. And I know that I understand where it was on the ice, and it probably 10 years ago, people would laugh to think that would be a penalty. I could see why maybe it was called a 2-minute or something. I could see why that's the I could see it being. I'll rewatch the replay. Who was involved in the hit? To be quite frankly, I didn't watch much of the Penguins-Bruins game. I just saw the clips. I'll just type in Penguins-Bruins. I'm sure it'll pop up. Penguins hit. He was the one that was a hell of a save, by the way, for the Bruins. Now you're telling me I can't find this hit anywhere, where last night it was all over the place. Maybe Spittin' Chicklets has it. My guess would be Spittin' Chicklets tweeted it. Oh, it's Tanev? Okay. If Spittin' Chicklets doesn't have... Okay, here it is. So I guess if there was to be a call on this play, I think it's because it could have been a boarding maybe. I don't understand why you get kicked out of the game and get a 1-game suspension for it by any means, but with his distance away from the boards, while there was a little bit of depth involved. Man, I'm just rewatching it over and over again. Yeah, I mean, I don't think the guy should have any sort of suspension or game misconduct or anything like that. Let me see it again. Now, the steps thing isn't an issue because he had the puck on his stick as he was making contact with him. It looked like he was trying to get the puck deep at the red line. Steps isn't a problem. I guess, if anything, and I'm not proud to say this, but if anything, I guess a boarding call, I could understand. Once again, I don't love that. I'm not happy that that's where the game has become, but I understand where the game is now, and I guess I could see it being a boarding. That would kind of be my call on it. Now I need to take a sip of this because we are 10 minutes into the show, 9 minutes in, and I've yet to take a sip of coffee. I get sidetracked because I love talking so much. Wow. Brodes, if you had to be a fan of another sports city, what sports city would it be? Simple. Boston, because they win. They might not be winning as much anymore now that Tom Brady isn't there. But if you ask me seriously, who would I want to be? What fan base? Why would I not want to be in the most winningest fan bases there is? Give it to me. I don't want to suffer. This is painful. Give me that. Give me championships. Now, what would happen is now that they've already won their championships, I'd become a Boston sports fan and then they'd suck. They'd suck. But that would be my answer because I want the winning. And that's reality. Have you seen Furk last? I thought Furkan sucked. He missed a ton of shots. He shot 4 of 12. I mean, the percentage wasn't great. And I think he tries to do way too much when the ball is in his hands. That's when he's at his worst. He tries to, yes, he does the pick and roll play with Dwight Howard. I hate the ball. Him putting the ball on the floor makes me cringe. It really makes me vomit. I knew some would like Furkan last night. I thought Furkan was a mess. Way too many shots. There's no way in hell I should have Furkan Korkmaz taking that many shots off the bench. No. I didn't like it. But I knew that there would be some that thoroughly enjoyed Furkan, but Furkan to me was bad. Missed shots, missed some open shots, forced a lot of buckets. No. Out on that. If he puts the ball on the floor, I seriously vomit. How do I feel about Doc keeping Furkan? Well, so similar to what was said by Angus earlier in the comments section about one game and kind of knowing the identity. I know who Doc is at this point. I have a good feel of it. I don't know him fully, but I have a good feel of what he does. Once I saw Furkan in the fourth quarter, you kind of knew that Doc would ride with him. He rides with guys that he feels deserves it late down the stretch, who he feels deserves it. So there's times where he rocks Dwight Howard. There's times where he rocks Matisse Thybulle. Well, Dwight Howard last night specifically over Tony Bradley, I'm saying, not when Joel Embiid is in the game and when he's available, but when Matisse Thybulle is going, he'll stick with Matisse. He'll stick with Furkan. He'll stick with this guy. He'll stick with that guy. That's just what he does. So when he finds someone that he feels comfortable with down the stretch in a game, he does that. And last night he saw it with Furk. And so once you saw Furkan hit 2 twos, it's like, all right, Doc is going to keep him in the game for the rest of the way. So it's something that, you kind of study with what he does. Kind of like the all-bench lineup. This is what he does. He rocks the all-bench lineup. This is what he does. So you just kind of learn of who he is and what he's all about. $10 donation from Alec Pags. Korkmaz still sucks. Takes way too many shots. Cheers, brother. Thank you, Pags. You're a beauty. Yeah, for me, 12 shots for Furkan, the way he was just constantly taking them, wasn't good. Then he gets the backcourt violation that wasn't called, and that's one of the twos that he made. Shouldn't have never happened. Just saying. Bad ball handling. I can't stand him with the ball in his hands. My favorite NCAA teams? I don't really have any, to be honest with you. Thank you so much, Pags, by the way. I really do appreciate it. You're the man. I'm not like this big diehard NCAA. I don't have a team. I don't have a team in the NCAA, I should say. I enjoy college basketball a lot. Although I've been through this a couple times now. This season, I have been limited in my college basketball action. I think a lot of that had to do with the atmosphere. The college arenas and the college atmosphere not being there, not having the screaming fans, not having everyone involved. I think it really killed the product for me personally. But I'm excited for the NCAA tournament. I don't have a favorite team. Of course, I root for Philly teams, and I want Villanova to win a national championship. With the injuries, though, we clearly know that has taken a significant hit in percentage. Drexel, I'm rooting for Drexel. Temple, when these teams are in there, when Temple's in there, when St. Joe's in there, when these teams are in there, I'm rooting for them. But for Villanova, for Drexel, those two squads, I'm definitely pulling as much as I can for them. I don't really have a favorite NCAA squad. What do you think that the Flyers will have to dig that? What hole do you think the Flyers have to dig them out of tonight? Well, I guess it would be probably along the lines of a 3-1 deficit, a 2-1 deficit. I don't know what to expect from the Fly guys tonight other than bad defensive zone turnovers, bad neutral zone play, some bad outlet passes, probably missing assignments, all the good stuff. But other than that, no. But in all seriousness, they've beaten the Sabres, they've beaten the Rangers, and I get annoyed because it's like, okay, do it against another team. Do it against a team that actually means something, right? But at the same time, when you're playing this bad and when you're having a hard time finding your identity and you're struggling, you can fall to these teams very easily. So if they beat the Rangers again, I know it's not something that people are going to be excited about, but I would almost value these wins. Something that I once looked at as a negative, which is all you beat of these bad teams is, okay, well, normally you would fall to these bad teams once in a while. Normally that bad loss would happen where it's like, really? You lost to the Sabres? Really? You lost to the Rangers? Especially with how bad they're playing. So with that being said, if they beat the Rangers again, then it's like, okay, they're handling business against every opponent. Does that tell me anything? Is that telling me anything? I don't know. I don't know. Would I try a $2 donation coming in from Jake Elliott? Would I try Furkan as a small ball 4 better than Mike Scott? No, because you're going to end up getting a better option in some sort of market. I think that's what the PJ Tucker is. That's what the Larry Nance Jr. is. That's one of your goals that you need to establish when you talk about upgrading this team. So it wouldn't be Furkan Korkmaz that would slide into that area. It would be that addition that you're getting at the deadline and things of that nature. So no. Brodes, do you think that Ben is an NBA All-Player this year? He made third team last year. Yeah, I would imagine so. Yeah, I would. I don't think he's ready for that, first NBA team, obviously. Second is even still in question. Maybe he lands in that third territory once again. But yeah, absolutely. He's that type of player, and you see that in his defense. Although, I thought his game was a little like he had aggressive moments early. Third quarter, I believe he only had 2 points because I think he finished with 10 at the half. If I remember correctly, he finished with 10 at the half. Then he had 2 in the third. Then maybe had 4 in the fourth or something along the lines of that. So, he finished with 16. I like the fact that he had 14 field goal attempts. That was my favorite part of it because it showed that he was willing to attack. He was willing to stay downhill. He was willing to attack the basket as much as possible. Limited on free throw attempts. He only got 1. But, I thought the refs were very all over the place. Some calls were made. Some calls weren't made. It was tough for him to even find the line due to the lack of calls. This is what I see here. I can see the Nets imploding in the playoffs. The Nets thing is fascinating. Where's Kevin Durant? Is Kevin Durant going to play? Because I truly do believe that Kevin Durant's not even going to play. And if he does, is there going to be enough time for him to figure out what it's like with James Harden and Kyrie Irving? Was there something internally with the Nets that realized, shit, we got to get James Harden because this whole Kevin Durant thing's not working out this year? I just wonder if there's something happening behind closed doors that brings up a little bit of, what do we have here in Kevin Durant? What's going on? Is he going to be ready? What do we need to do to give ourselves enough, support? A back system, I don't know, a support system, a backpack. That those two make no sense. A support system's the word I'm looking for, not backpack. Where if Kevin Durant doesn't work, we have an option here in James Harden and Kyrie that we think will. Because with Kevin Durant, he's definitely hurt. I don't know. I'm speculating based off of the circumstances. The fact that KD's still not out there, the hell is going on? All right. Angus comes back in. Lots of hope for this team, just not for tonight's game. We've matched up so well with the Bucks in recent years because Embiid has always kept Giannis at bay at the rim. Without him, it'll be tough. For sure. And that's why we all kind of thought during this whole thing, like, yeah, you're going to lose some games, and that's fine. I'm curious how they compete, how hard they play. Not that I am questioning if they're going to come out and compete. Obviously, they are. But coming off of a back-to-back, coming off an emotional win, coming off of Tobias Harris's game, there's so many storylines. Will Tobias Harris follow this up with another dominating game and another closeout game? Will Matisse Thybulle answer the bell to Doc Rivers? Doc Rivers called him out. Doc Rivers literally stated to him, look, you owe me one. You owe me one. After having 3 blocks in 18 minutes of play or so? Yeah, guess what? That's an awesome statement by the coach, and I can't wait to see how Matisse Thybulle responds. How is Ben Simmons going to play? How's he going to defend? How aggressive is he going to be offensively? Is Danny Green going to make his shots? Is Seth Curry going to make his shots? Like, I'm really fascinated with this storyline of this game. Now, it looks like we have some stats here on Tobias Harris. He's plus 69 in clutch time, which is tied for first. Only player to shoot at a better percentage on more clutch points is Damian Lillard. And this is according to Thiago Scabia of the Painted Lines. So, yeah, wow. Just amazing to see what Tobias Harris has grown into. And I do find this interesting because everyone talks about how much of a change he's been from last year to this year. And I just think you're seeing an individual grow. Like at Tobias Harris's age, I must knock over my whole coffee. Tobias Harris is now 28 years old. Not ironic that now Tobias Harris is becoming this closer, becoming this player, growing into a guy that is now delivering in clutch moments. It's because of the IQ. It's because of understanding the game. It's because of getting the reps. It's because of the experience. It's because of the adversity. It's about learning in this league. It's really not that hard to figure out. It really isn't. You know, everyone wants to point at this and that. Well, it's because once you get to a certain point in this age, you either get it or you don't. Some players get it, some players don't. It seems like Tobias Harris at 28 has now established himself and realizes, look in the mirror, I got this. I can do this. I have learned enough. I've been around the block enough. I've studied the game enough. I've went up against the better opponents enough where I have now applied all of that knowledge that I have put together over how many years of being in the league, and I am applying it to my own skill set. So you either have it or you don't. And now that you're 28 years old, now you become the closer. It's just how the NBA works. It's how this league works. You grow, you blossom, you demand the ball, you become that guy. Now, there's outliers. There's guys like LeBron that have it since day one. There's guys like Steph Curry that come into the league out of Davidson, and they're special, all right? But that's the minority. That's not what the majority of the people. So when you look at it, Tobias, when you look at it, Joel Embiid, who's doing it now at 26, just turned 27 yesterday. When you watch Ben Simmons continue to grow, it's just the timeline it's how it goes in basketball. People 5 years ago were blaming the coach when an NBA player is 22 years old. Oh, but he's 22. He's 22. Now, 24. All right, now we're getting more out of Ben. I've always said I'm so fascinated to see Ben Simmons at 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. He might not have the jump shot, but he'll have the knowledge of the game to adapt what he needs to do in certain areas because he will learn and then apply that knowledge to his game. Ben got fouled on that dunk. He got clubbed upside the head. He could have been to the free throw line a few more times. We got a $2 donation from Michael B. What would be your GM move to improve the bench? Well, can I say Kyle Lowry? Because that wouldn't really improve your bench. Quite frankly, that would be the opposite. So maybe I'll stick away from Kyle Lowry. I would like Larry Nance Jr. and George Hill. If you're telling me it's bench moves only and I'm not trading for Kyle Lowry and I'm not piling up Danny Green and some of these other picks for Kyle Lowry, because I do think that would make your team better with the starting five. It would do damage to your bench, and it is a very good debate, and I see both sides of it. I absolutely do. If I had to choose, though, just bench, I would say George Hill and Larry Nance Jr. Those would be the two that I would want. That would be the road I would go down. Larry Nance Jr. would be here for more than just this season. You'd have him there. He's worked on his three-point shooting. He's added to his game. He has a different skill set to him. That would be what I would do. Thank you so much for the $2 donation, Michael. I really appreciate that. Do I really want Kyle Lowry? The more and more I think about it, I am very intrigued by him in the starting lineup, and I think that there's a way that Daryl Morey can do this the right way. It doesn't need to be where, you mortgage all this future just for Kyle Lowry, but I think that there's a way to kind of do it where, you know what, you might have to give up a little bit to try it, but I think you're limited in how many years you can have the conversation of this team is serious, right? I mean, it doesn't last forever. You got to pounce on those chances. You got to pounce on those opportunities. So I think you might have to take that risk. I think you owe it to yourself to take that risk for Kyle Lowry. I thought about it a lot. I went back and forth in my mind a lot all the time about, all right, you lose Matisse or you lose Shake Milton or you lose Tyrese Maxey. You're definitely losing Danny Green and all those expiring contracts, but that's somewhat irrelevant for, bigger picture with this team. But I think you have to, if you think that is the move, if you're Daryl Morey and you think that's the move, which he will help out your starting rotation significantly, buys into the defensive role, annoying, a pest, another ball handler, all that good stuff. Yeah, I think I would have to take that risk on Kyle Lowry. I really do. Hey, Brodes, just wondering if for March Madness you only make one bracket and follow it. Do you make multiples? I go into a couple different pools, but not more than, let's say, 3. I'm not one of those 50 brackets kind of guy. I like one because you stick to that main one and all, but, if I do a couple different pools, different March Madness pools, I'll probably do 1 to 3 in that range. What do I think of the Phillies yesterday? Yeah, the Phillies pitching got beat up a little bit. Aaron Nola said he was working on something with his pitches. He got hit around. That one inning was pretty tough for him. I'll pull up the box score because I know that Kinchler got rocked pretty good. And what else happened? Kinchler got rocked pretty good. I think Rhys Hoskins had some good piece of hitting. Or was that the game prior? All these spring training games are somewhat running together here. Where are the pitchers? 14-5, yeah. So Nola pitched 2 2/3, allowed 7 hits, 6 earned runs, walked 2. Not the best for him. Kinchler got rocked well in his one inning. He had 4 hits, 3 runs scored. Tony Watson got hit in 1/3 of an inning, 5 hits, 4 earned runs. But they were due, right? I mean, look, for as excited as we are about some of these bullpen pieces, there's going to be games where they have bad moments. You don't have a bullpen that never blows a lead. So even if your bullpen is better than what they were last year, even if your bullpen's a great bullpen in MLB statistics, you're still going to blow leads. You're going to have bad outings. You're going to have bad nights. So if you're telling me it took this many spring training games before Kinchler and Tony Watson got rocked a bit, well, I think we're in good shape. Just curious to see how they bounce back. But yeah, I mean, I'm not that worried about it, long term or anything. I think it's just kind of the product of spring training and what you get, right? Josh says the Shake Milton experiment has had its ups and downs, but in my opinion, he needs to play shooting guard. He's not a point guard. Before it seemed he was so poised and calm, but it seems he tries to do too much. The problem I have with him being a shooting guard is he's very ball heavy. And maybe it's just because he's playing on the ball. So maybe if he played off the ball, I would change my opinion completely on it. But as a scorer, because that's what he is, he's not like a shooter, he's a scorer. He still needs the ball to kind of operate and flow. So, yeah, he is better as a scorer, not really a point guard because he doesn't get his teammates going, but not that there's not a role for shooters or shooting guards that are more scorers than shooters, but it's a weird dynamic. I think he's got to have the ball in his hands, and then he tries to get about 5 feet from the basket. You know that one shot he always takes where he gets to the basket and he puts his 1 foot out. It's like a 5-6 footer, and he shoots it and he keeps his follow through. He is strong at taking it to the rack with some layups and all too, but yeah, I think that the experiment of Shake Milton at point guard is no bueno, and that's why I brought up George Hill when I was asked what I would do if I was GM. It's George Hill. It's bringing a veteran guy. It's bringing a guy that you can, or if you go the Kyle Lowry route, there's your secondary option to maybe stagger some minutes between Ben Simmons and him. And speaking of Ben Simmons, and speaking of the 76ers, as you know, every Wednesday, we do a hump day giveaway over on my Twitter. So if you're not following me, head over to Twitter at Brodes81. And after Coffee with Brodes is over, I will be releasing the next giveaway. And all I'm saying is Ben Simmons might be involved. Not him personally, but, if I'm thinking about the giveaway and if you want to try and win something, head over to at Brodes81. Be prepared. Might be a Ben Simmons item. Just saying. Heaven says, I still can't get over that block by Dwight on Randall. I screamed so loud my neighbors 3 houses down heard me. That was an insane, literally an insane block. And the fact that Nerlens Noel on the other side He stepped in there, right? Like, we got to give credit to Nerlens on the other side to kind of counter that to a degree. It would be different if it was on Dwight Howard. It wasn't on Dwight Howard, but that was insanity, that block. Who was the Nerlens Noel block on? See. Oh, Raiders just signed John Brown. Let's see. What was it? Furkan? No, Furkan has it. He passes it behind the back to, it was on Tobias. I remember Dwight Howard running the floor with him. So I was like, was it Dwight Howard? Because Dwight was the next man with that back behind the pass back from Furkan. But yeah, I remember him running the floor. I didn't think he got that dunk up. I just didn't know who it was actually. Dwight put Randall flat on his back. Yeah, and you heard the crazy part too after a block like that is you hear the sound of the back hitting the hardwood, and it's like, ooh. Right? Like if you don't hear that contact, if you don't hear the floor, I don't think it has the same power of how much of a jump that is or how much of a block that is when they both go up to jump, I should say. But the fact that you hear the back land on the hardwood and everyone's like, ooh, when you got Dwight Howard flexing a bit, that's phenomenal for sure. Oh, the Sabres are making moves. They just fired Kruger. Well, you kind of have to do that, right? I thought Randall was going to be hurt. Yeah, and Randall got locked down by Tobias Harris. That was special defensively. What they did defensively was definitely unbelievable. Tobias was a dog. I think he took Julius Randle being an all-star personally, and he wanted to attack that matchup, and he for sure did. Julius Randle, he's clearly added to his game, but everyone knows which way to force him. You force him one way for a reason. Now, he's added to his game, so I'm not trying to knock the kid for becoming an all-star level player like he has been this season, but he still does have some deficiencies with what he does. And yeah, you can force him one way. You can force him in an area to make him at least more uncomfortable than he normally is for sure. Tobias is low-key becoming a two-way player. Yeah, there's matchups that make it work for him. There's matchups that you can definitely take advantage of, but then there's some different matchups. It's all based off matchups, right? There's some that's like, all right, Tobias should be able to eat this one alive. And then there's others where it's like, okay, you can understand why Tobias Harris might have a tough night. And we do the same thing with Ben Simmons, to be fair. When you go up against a De'Aaron Fox, when you go up against a Devin Booker, when you go up against some of these quicker, smaller guards, yeah, you don't expect Ben Simmons to have that same type of lethal power. It's like, okay, it makes sense for him to have a tougher night. Well, with Tobias, there are nights where that happens. There's nights for everyone. Unless your name's Joel Embiid, there's nights for everyone. Unless your name's Kevin Durant, there's certain players where that's what people say on the other side. Like, oof, I got Joel Embiid tonight. It's going to be tough. There's certain players where it doesn't matter who you're up against. It's always going to be a night for you, for the opponent to be the one worried, to be the one scared. But for the most part, there's some where it's like, all right, that might be a tough day for you. And with Tobias, he's been very strong defensively. That's for damn sure. Team Talk says, do you think it's smart to sit Embiid the rest of the regular season if the starters continue to win games without him? No. Let me ask you this. In all seriousness, I'm not trying to be a douche. I'm not trying to be an ass. But what would the benefit be, Team Talks? I would like to get your comments down below. If you're weighing out your pros and cons, your cons are what? You don't want him to get injured again? You're taking that risk every time you play. If that's the case, then Tobias should sit, Ben should sit, because we realize that this team can compete if they have everyone out there, right? We know that by now. So other than I'm afraid that he's going to get hurt again, which it was a bone bruise. It's not like an ACL tear or anything. It's a bone bruise. Nothing's broken to the point where you need to worry about an injury happening again, something that he tweaked or anything of that nature. You got to get him back out there and playing up and down the floor. You got to get him conditioning back up. You got to get him in rhythm. You got to get him in flow. You got to get him to play heading into the playoffs. So I don't get this question, quite frankly. I don't get this question. Once again, I'm not trying to be an ass, but that would never come to my mind. Let's sit Joel Embiid for the rest of the regular season. I just think that that's a little asinine. I think that's asinine. How badly the time Joel is going to miss will impact his MVP? Oh, there you go. You reworded it in the next comment. Do you think Joel can still win MVP with the time he missed from injury? Probably not. I think it will cost him if he misses. It depends how long it is. 2 weeks, he might have a chance. I don't think it's going to be 2 weeks, though. Let me rephrase that. 2 weeks, I think he has a chance to maybe still squeak out that MVP. Not, I think he has a chance to come back in 2 weeks, because I don't. If we start talking 4, now you're missing a month on top of all the other games he missed. I don't know. I think it can significantly hurt. But the thing is, he's that unreal. He's that unreal this season. But let's just see, for example, Jokic. The guy plays all these games. He's not played 39 games. He's averaging 27, 11, and 8. 8.5 to be exact. He's got pretty much 40 games logged into this point. Is that something where if he plays all 75, if he plays 73 of 75, and he's giving you 28 points per game, 12 rebounds per game, 8.5 assists per game, as a big man, is the length of time playing going to affect Joel Embiid? I would imagine the answer to that question is yes, but he has been insanely unbelievable. Where are we here? I was watching The Jump with Paul Pierce. That's your first problem. Watching anything related to Paul Pierce on the internet, on the TV with him talking about basketball. The other night, the Sixers destroyed the Spurs, and he thought that the Spurs destroyed the Sixers, and he said that's how important Joel Embiid is. Come on, bro. I was watching The Jump, and Paul Pierce said that when he had a bone bruise in the knee, it took him 8 months to be fully healthy. Should be scared that Embiid won't be 100% in the playoffs. Random gamer. Look, I've said that right from the jump. Bone bruises are insanely bad. 2 weeks, I'm not buying 2 weeks. It doesn't sound bad. A bruise doesn't sound bad. A bone bruise can be as bad in terms of length of time and pain as a broken bone. It can take that long to come back from injury, for sure. No doubt about it. I really do hate being that guy, because I'm anti the guy that says, oh, well, back in high school, I played football. So because I played high school football, I know what Fletcher Cox is going through. I can't stand that guy, right? Because it's not the same. So I'm fully acknowledging my experiences playing college hockey is not the same as Joel Embiid, the league MVP, heading into this injury. It's not the same. But I did experience a bone bruise, and I know what it took for me to get back, and it knocked me out months. It knocked me out months. I also have to put my foot in a skate, and I have to actually skate and put that much pressure on it. Is that different than running up and down the hardwood floor at 7'2"? Everything's different. So many different circumstances. They can do things that I couldn't do at the college level with whatever, helping out the pain. They have more available to them. But I do know from a personal experience that it took me months to get over. Essentially knocked me out the whole second half of the season, to be honest with you. That doesn't mean that that's going to be the case with Embiid. I'm just saying I've done it. Who do I think is winning March Madness? I honestly have no idea. Gonzaga, Michigan, pick one of the top dogs, or is that too boring? I had a deep bone bruise in my knee from ice hockey. It took me 4 months to get back. Yeah, it's bad. I mean, it's, clearly the alternative was significantly worse, but that doesn't mean that this bone bruise is all of a sudden okay. I think people are reacting to a word of bone bruise. Oh, it's not that bad. Nah, it's pretty bad. Like, it's bad. I'd be shocked if he comes back in 2 weeks. I'd be happy, though. Look, I want him to be back as soon as possible. So I want him to be back in 2 weeks. How I want him to be back in a day. It's already been a day, so I guess it can't happen. But you get my point. Do I think the Sixers can hold on to the 1 seed without Joel? My opinion with that has been no. I think the Brooklyn Nets will find a way to snag it. I thought, and this is what I was saying even before, even with Joel Embiid there, I thought the Sixers would be more of a 2 seed, more of a 3 seed. I didn't think that they were going to be the number 1. Now, they started out with 2 great victories. So maybe they do. Maybe they do. I wouldn't be the most shocked person in the world. I just thought that the Brooklyn Nets were the better team. And right now they're like, it's just a 1-game difference, right? So, I mean, you're talking a 2-game switcheroo can automatically be the difference in where they're at. So, do I think that they can hold on to the 1 seed? Yeah, they could. Do I think they're going to? No, I don't. That's okay. Like, it's okay if they don't. Make sense if they don't. They're not going to win every game without Joel Embiid, regardless of how they started here in the first 2 games. Evan says, I've been reading that the Eagles are strong shooters for Deshaun Watson. I do not think that the Eagles are in play for a Deshaun Watson trade. I do not see that, and I haven't seen that, and I'm okay with I don't think that that's in play. I don't think they're going to mortgage. You have too many holes. You have 9,000 holes, and you're going to package up how much to go what? To do what? I don't know. I think it's Elliott Shore Parks reported it. Well, I think that's one of your problems here is using Elliott Shore Parks as some sort of situation. Yeah, he did put up a piece right here. Report, the Eagles are strong shooters for Deshaun Watson. Jeffrey Lurie might try to make it happen. Here's a look at why it might not be as crazy as it seems with the financial draft picks available. Let's just read a little bit of the situation. This is just a report of it. So, yeah, okay, it's not from Elliott Shore Parks. He's not reporting it. He's sourcing CBS's Sports, who reported it. The Eagles should be viewed as a strong shooter. The Eagles should be viewed. See, now we got to look at the wording here. The Eagles should be viewed as a strong shooter to make a deal for Houston Texans quarterback Deshaun Watson, as it sounds like owner Jeffrey Lurie's desire to make it happen might be the main reason why. This is what CBS Sports writes in the piece. The Eagles are always among the most aggressive exploring trades, and general manager Howie Roseman is as willing as a deal maker as there is in the NFL. Blockbuster trades are a particular specialty, including unconventional deals, i.e. the Carson Wentz trade they have pulled off. Some in Eagles brass would try to poo-poo the idea of their interest by noting there must be about 30 teams paying close attention to the situation. But my sense is this is much more than an idea. I get the sense there is something ownership and management would very much like to make happen. I hear that is very much at the ownership level. As one league source puts it, no action for the Eagles, one GM said. It has to be killing them. Another GM said, would Howie trading for Watson surprise me? No, now that you mention it. So is Watson to the Eagles actually a possibility? Financially, it would be tough to pull off, but it is possible. Watson has a base salary of $10.5 in 2021. All right. In terms of future years, they could restructure Lane Johnson, Fletcher Cox, open up space, yada, yada, yada. Yeah. For me, I think that's look, I'm not saying that is an article or a piece to not look into. If you want to look into it, you can look into it. I just think it's too raw for me. It's too raw of a situation. You're going to hear a million rumors. You're going to hear a million teams want Deshaun. You're going to hear so much. You're in a situation where you got to now look, the quarterback is the most important position in the world. You find your quarterback. You do whatever it takes to find your quarterback. That's rule number 1 in football. So if that's the case, okay, go get your guy. But I think with all their holes, with all their problems, you don't know what Roddy McLeod is. You lost Jalen Mills. You have no safety. You need an outside corner opposite of Darius Slay. I guess you're going to rock with the defensive line and Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox, Hargrave, and who else? Derek Barnett and that extender. You got your D-line there, but you need help offensively as well. I think there's so many flaws with this team that you're now going to package these assets that can help you on a quarterback. I don't know. Look, I'm not saying it is impossible, but I'm saying I think these reports are too raw. After all these reports that we've been reading throughout this last couple of years or whatever the case may be, last season and all, I guess I'm just tired out on these reports and this person says this and that person says that. Yeah, Deshaun Watson, I just think that there's so much that needs to happen for it to actually go down. Maybe if things intensify, if you hear more rumors, if you're hearing it constantly, if there's more talk about it around the national media, if you're hearing more buzz, maybe I'd get more involved. Maybe I'd get more sucked in. But as of right now, as we sit here right now at 9:45 drinking my coffee, it's like, all right, it's an interesting piece, but I'm not ready to invest heavily emotionally. I'm like, hey, Deshaun Watson, because I think it's such a far reach to get it done. Ethan says this draft will either sink the franchise or turn the ship around. You do need to you need to hit. You got to get production out of these players. Look, we were excited about Kayvon Wallace, right? Oh, wow, 4th rounder. Can't wait to see what he's like. Brian Dawkins, everybody said. You have a hole at safety, and no one feels comfortable with Kayvon Wallace being in play. I just think it's funny how it gets flipped around. Now, I think he's got a role, but he's young, and he's like your third safety. He's your rotational piece that gets a handful of snaps. But you got to find ways to really fill this void here. You're going to have to do it through the draft. You're going to have to find another Jalen Mills in the 7th round. You're going to have to hit on some guys that can actually play and play a decent amount of minutes, right? Like there's a difference between finding a guy in the 5th round that plays 12% of the snaps and finding a guy in the 4th round that can actually play 90% of the snaps. You got to find those players. You got to, and it's not going to be every guy. That's not fair to expect every player to do it. But you got to come out with a couple. You got to come out with more than just one. You got to come out with more than just the first pick in the draft. You got to find someone else that can play legitimate snaps and give you a significant difference on this team, more so than 15% of the snaps. You got to find actual playmakers. Just like Fulgham. What is Fulgham? He never got playing time. What do you mean with Fulgham? How do you go from the type of stretch you had the 4 games to not being in play? I don't know. They tried to say it was a body language problem. My thing is, I think he had a body language problem because of Alshon Jeffrey just getting handed the job back. Now, I'm not saying that's the right way to handle it. I'm not saying you're supposed to pout and put your head down because you're upset. But I think Fulgham realized that Alshon Jeffrey was getting back from injury and just got his job back just because no matter what Howie told you, no matter what Doug Peterson told you, and that pissed off Travis Fulgham, and that's kind of where it ended up snowballing to, and that's why I ended up getting no play towards the end. But yeah, I have no idea what to expect from Travis Fulgham. And quite frankly, if you're someone that has these high expectations for him, maybe you should limit that a bit. That man, Toby, is money, Brodes. Toby is great. Toby has really developed and blossomed into a fantastic player this season, and I am convinced this is who he is. It takes me time to figure out a player's identity each season and what a new role is going to be for a player. I've seen him now 6, 7, 8, 9 times close out a game in the 4th quarter. I've seen him be the guy that says, give me the rock, let me establish what I'm going to do tonight, and let me be the finisher. Let me be the guy that's going to put the team on my back. And he's done that so many times where I now believe this is who he is. Now, you're not going to bat 1,000. You're not going to get it 100 out of 100 times. You might miss that open look. You might miss that wide open shot. There's going to be a time where maybe Tobias doesn't come up clutch with all the baskets he needs. But he's done it enough, and he's completed it enough, too, for me to feel comfortable with Tobias being one of the closers if you're going to have to move on from Joel Embiid at a certain point in the game. Like if it's 5 straight possessions of Embiid, then they start to double, then they start to bring this intensity to him, and it's, hey, I got to get the ball out of my hands. And now Tobias becomes that guy with 2.5 to go. I feel comfortable with that being the case. Are the Eagles going to cut Alshon? Yes. Alshon and I think it was Malik Jackson. It's going to be the post-June 1 date that they both get cut. So they'll be cut after that post-June 1. So, yes, they will be. What do I think about Marquis Goodwin? It was very odd, right? It was like he gets flipped back to San Francisco because of some of the contract stuff. Very bizarre. It goes into the category of the Frank Gores and all that mess when it comes to some of these players that come in here and they leave their legacy, right? They leave their legacy somehow. Johnny Hockey's cool, but I'd take a so-so defenseman over him. Well, I think that's a hot take. No? I think that's a hot take. We're kind of talking about this now, Wolf. What's my take on all these hot rumors of the Eagles trading for Watson? I'm kind of taking a step back approach. I'm not jumping too much into this. I don't think that there's a serious enough amount of smoke for my conversation to be all about this. I think that it's interesting. You're not going to rule it out. I think it's reasonable to look at that scenario. I think it's reasonable to look at what's going on. But I don't think that there's enough smoke for me to be all in on this. Hey, Deshaun Watson. I almost said Dwight Howard. Can you imagine Dwight Howard being the starting quarterback for your Philadelphia Eagles? I can't even imagine him throwing a football. Could you imagine him throwing a football? Yeah, UFC 261 will have a full crowd. I'm pretty excited about that. It's time. I kind of alluded to this before with the Phillies and the Wells Fargo Center now opening up a bit more, allowing more fans involved. It's time. Do I think it's time to go full engaged? Probably not, but I'm excited to see sports kind of get back to what we need it to, which is we need fans in the stands. Can the Flyers get a good win tonight? Sure. I think they can get a good win tonight. They have been beating the Sabres. They have been beating the Rangers. They have been beating these teams that they should be beating. Does that mean they're due? Or does that mean they're going to continue that hot stretch and win the games that they're supposed to? That's where you kind of have to draw the line, right? Is it time? Is it time to lose? Or, hey, they've been doing this. Frank Gore, greatest Eagles running back ever. Exactly. It had that feel to it. Dwight as a quarterback. I know, right? I can picture it because it's funny as hell, but it's got to be one of the strangest. I'm picturing him. You know how quarterbacks do like drills with their feet and they're going through the cones and they're just doing footwork and then they release to I don't know, someone going through the slot and they just throw it, or you know what I mean? Like the cone drills where they're just working laterally, they're working up and down, going vertically as well with their footwork, moving up in the pocket, moving back in the pocket. You imagine Dwight Howard doing that with that body frame with the hair flopping around too. I love it, man. Dwight Howard, when he brings this energy, like he's on another level too. He brings the energy at let's say he's constantly at a 7, right? I think right now he's almost at like a 12 with the way he's playing right now. At least Dwight can't pick up any fouls if he was the quarterback. Yeah. Now, if he was a defensive lineman, if he was a defensive end and Dwight Howard was getting pressure on the quarterback, he'd probably have 7 personal fouls. That would be equivalent to fouling all the time. He'd have like 6 roughing the passers. He'd have like 7 hits to the helmet. He'd have whatever, you name it. And I'm saying in one game. Can you believe his age? Believe whose age? Dwight Howard? The fact that he's playing at his age? Or are you talking about somebody else? If I can move any NHL franchise, who would you move and where? I guess the Florida Panthers, because I know that they're a good team this year, but I'm sorry, they don't deserve a fan base. So it would be the Florida Panthers, and I'm a Canada guy, and I like Seattle, but they're already getting a team, but I'm a Canada guy. So, of course, my initial reaction would be like another 6 city in Canada that doesn't have a team that would get an opportunity to do that. But what about like Utah? Because as much as I hate the Utah Jazz and I can't stand Donovan Mitchell's face, they have a passionate fan base, a passionate group of people that really love their Utah Jazz. And if you put a team out in Utah, an NHL team out in Utah, is there another place that I'm missing? But I think that would be a cool one. I'm just trying to think of these smaller markets that have a cool fan base. Memphis has a nice Grizzlies fan base, like a cute fan base, if you will. But I don't think that would resonate well with hockey. I don't know. I don't know why Utah stood out to me, to be honest with you. The Coyotes, they have 0 fans. NHL team needs a team in Florida. Well, they do. They have the Tampa Bay Lightning. That's my thing, is like the NHL to have all these teams in Florida. No. You don't need to. You already have the Tampa Bay Lightning. You have a team out in Florida. And they're a passionate fan base because they're good. That's different. Atlanta, they tried Atlanta. Atlanta doesn't work. Wisconsin would be cool. Something Green Bay related. Now we're talking. It would be similar to Lambeau Field. Maybe it's all bleachers around. That's a cool one. I like Wisconsin. That's an awesome one. Atlanta didn't work. Atlanta doesn't work for hockey. Portland, if you're going Seattle, though, which they already are, I think you kind of have that already. So, Yeah, I don't think that one is something that would be beneficial if you're already kind of going into Seattle. I like Wisconsin. That's cool. I like Utah still. I think Utah is a cool one, but that could backfire. Who knows? Vegas worked out pretty damn solid though. Am I going to be watching the game tonight on ESPN or NBC Sports Philly? I normally like to stay in that NBC Sports Philadelphia range, to be honest with you. Quebec, there you go. Quebec is one. The Quebec Nordiques, obviously, back in the day. Yeah, Quebec would be an awesome one. Just because of the passion in Canada, I think it would be very cool to see another team head out into Canada. The Thrashers had cool jerseys. Ilya Kovalchuk, Danny Heatley. There's nothing better than the Danny Heatley videos or the memes and the gifs of Danny Heatley opening up for a one-timer about 2 inches away from the boards at the goal line, just ready to rip a puck any moment. Who's your favorite commentator, non-Philly? Gus Johnson. I love myself some Gus Johnson. Over the top, perfect for college football. I'm trying to think of some other ones, too. Gus Johnson, though, is for sure the first one that pops up on my list. You know who sucks and I can't stand him? Bill Walton. Can't stand him. I think he's awful. The shtick isn't funny. It's annoying. It's a brutal watch. It actually makes me turn off Pac-12 games. I can't stand Bill Walton. I think he is terrible. I think he's terrible. But yeah, I like Gus Johnson a lot. I think that who else is another one that, unless you were talking specifically NBA. Yeah, Doris Burke does a fantastic job. She's a legend in this business for a reason. If you meant just basketball, Allah's the worst commentator ever. The problem is with Allah is, and it's similar to how I feel about Scott Hartnell. I think Scott Hartnell he means well in it. There's a difference between caring and not caring about the broadcast, and I think Scott Hartnell cares. He's just not very good. And I think Allah cares. He does his homework. He does his research. He prepares. He thoroughly enjoys his job, and he wants to do a good job, and he does everything the right way. He's an awesome person. I don't think anyone questions what type of individual he is, but I'm with you. I think he's a little corny. I think he's a little whack at times, but it all comes back to the intentions are right. So that's where I start. And that doesn't mean that, hey, look, this is the NBA. It's sort of like, hey, if your intentions are right on the basketball floor and you work hard, you got to actually execute. It's not just about working hard. You got to make your shots. You got to take those charges. You got to defend. You got to make sure you're following up that work ethic that you put in the gym in the offseason onto the court and establish yourself in the games. So to a degree, it's like, yeah, you might put in the work, but you got to execute. I like the fact that you have people who care about their job. It's better than falling asleep on the broadcast like we've seen with Mark Zumoff in the past. But yeah, it's probably not my favorite out of Allah and Scott Hartnell, but their mind and their head is in the right place, which I guess I need to appreciate as well. They care. They care. They try hard. They dedicate themselves. They truly have passion for it. So that is a start for sure. A $2 donation coming in from Giroux here. It says Giroux gets 3 points tonight. Now, if I remember correctly, you said one day that Giroux would have 2, and he did have 2, right? Do I remember that correctly? So you calling out the big man again today, the captain, that he's going to have 3, and you put a little $2 donation on it, which I really do appreciate all the support. Well, that is fantastic if it comes true. No doubt about it. Thank you so much for that $2 donation. Doc Emmerich, says Josh Bacon. Yeah, Doc Emmerich in his prime is fantastic. The problem is, I think a little bit of this backstretch of Doc Emmerich is weighing me down because I thought it was time for him to kind of hang him up. I thought the last couple of years with Doc was a little bit eh. And you got to keep in mind, he was doing the Stanley Cup playoffs out of the bubble, and he was broadcasting on a separate broadcast. So he was delayed. They would score, and the sirens would go off, and then here's Doc. He scores! It's like, well, that's 5 seconds later. They're already going through the line. You're going, he scores on me, and it's 5 seconds too late. But it's not his fault. But there's no doubt that Doc Emmerich did lose a little bit of a step. But, yeah, in terms of greatness and one of the best to ever do it, there's no doubt that he is up there. Gary Thorne, dude. Gary Thorne in his prime calling hockey is amazing. Even Gary Thorne calling baseball. There's something about his voice that is Just a great listen, man. I even enjoyed it. And the Orioles sucked, but I lived in the Maryland area for a couple of years when I was playing college hockey. And yeah, he would be on TV on that MSN network. And sometimes I would just throw on the Orioles game just to listen to Gary Thorne's voice. Let's see here. I wonder when did Gary Thorne start with the Orioles? What year did Gary Thorne start with the Orioles? Baseball. He was MASN. That's the name of it, not MSN. MASN. When did he start? What is this here? 2007 he started. So from 2007 to 2021, he was the he has an amazing voice. He really does. But look, with that being said, thank you guys so much for listening to Coffee with Brodes today. Remember, right now, in about 5 to 10 minutes, I will have uploaded on my Twitter at Brodes81. Go follow me. A Ben Simmons giveaway that you are not going to miss. So make sure you head on over there and enter to win. It is Wednesday. That means it is a hump day giveaway. Get involved. Ben Simmons apparel in play. Make sure you check that out within 5 to 10 minutes at Brodes81. It will be posted. Do not miss it. Thank you all so much, and I'll see you tomorrow on Coffee with Brodes.